we look forward to seeing you next week on the Third Side Convo. Thank you all.
Hey, Bob, does the peanut gallery get a chance to talk?
Yeah, you coming up next.
Okay.
They come up. Right, now you can talk.
And we're back.
Where's the music?
Oh, and Luke into Donnie and Steve. Oh, this will be a quick wrap up.
No, there's a lot of people in there. They're just not on video.
Oh, is that right? Okay, go.
Okay.
I only got one person, Greg, that's on the mute.
That's okay. All right.
So, Don, Steve, how did I do?
Hey, can I say something real quick? Parents.
No, Tiberius asked you a question, Steve.
That's your question.
What do you ask me?
How did he do?
He wanted to know how he did. He wanted to know if he did well, not good.
He did great. He's doing a lot better than the parents are doing. And I think criminal liability and civil liability and a high degree of publicity, including on national news. If your kid gets a hold of a gun that you should have had locked up and secured, then it's your responsibility. And you're going to pay in your bank account. You're going to pay with time being put away. Okay. I don't necessarily agree that banning M16, I was going to say M16s, AR-15s, is going to solve the problem. Okay. An alternative weapon will be found. And as the person who grew up in the 1950s, since you're looking for root causes and you want to keep drilling and peeling the onion, why don't we go back to the two-income family? Because once that happened, and once the economy became based upon two incomes and priced on two incomes, you lost the ability of having one person be available to the kids and help to raise them. And that, to me, is a huge factor here.
Valid point. Excellent. Excellent point, Steve. Don, do you want to log in, or are you going to try to see if anybody out there in the gallery that's not shown wants to weigh in?
I'm asking G, whoever G is, to unmute themselves. I got the camera. It just says G. I don't know who it is. So whoever's G out there, if you can hear me, unmute yourself.
That's okay.
Put on.
Or they can text their response.
Yeah, they
can text it.
So Don, give us yours then.
Well, first of all, I'll say Tiberius he's the man. Great insight. Make sure the kids are okay. That is brilliant, Make sure, and that should be checking in with kids of today. They should be having check-in, whatever, constantly checking in with the kids and make sure they're okay. There should be some kind of program where they're just being checked, throughout the year and see how they're doing. So I think that's a brilliant. Money could be spent on that, My take in on the whole thing about the guns and the shooting. If they can ban, if you can ban some books, you should be able to ban certain types of guns for certain people. So if you can ban certain products, certain things in this country, you should be able to ban some kind of certain kind of weapons for people who are qualified to get the weapons or use those weapons. Make it a certain age you can't get those weapons until you had done your training and until you can get them. That's my whole intake about these weapons in the first place. I don't want to take nobody right to take their guns away, but just because you can drive, that means you can jump in a semi-trailer truck because you can drive. No, you got to train how to drive that thing. So,
no, Don, you're right. I mean, it's a reasonable point. A reasonable point.
Well, I do think there's a couple issues because number one, driving is not a right in the Constitution.
It's a privilege.
So it is a privilege.
Right.
And so a right of the Constitution is there, and we do create some limitations. We do say that kids can't walk around carrying them. They're not supposed to. They're not allowed to. And some laws said they can't have them until they're 18, unless they're in the military. Then they can get them all they want and be trained. I personally think gun safety should be taught in every school. And the reason why is because I think that every kid that runs into a gun and plays with it because they found one, they're at risk of killing themselves or someone else. And if gun safety was taught in schools, it wouldn't be as much of a big problem. Now, we joked about the fact that there is a advertiser that is a gun range. That's where Tiberius got his gun training. And
right. That's fine. That's great.
Since 5 years old. And he knows to control a gun and how to keep it safe from anyone else. But guess what? Not everyone does that. And so I'm more worried about Tiberius than Tiberius accidentally shooting someone else. Because
one of the few disagreements with our governor, whose name I won't use, one of my only disagreements with him is the fact that he got rid of the need for concealed carry. I have a concealed carry license, and you had to actually learn something in order to have concealed carry.
Exactly.
License. just to allow anybody to walk around with a gun concealed who has no idea what the responsibility associated with it is ridiculous, in my opinion. So I don't know why we got rid of the concealed carry law.
And then the top on
That's
it.
why you gotta have more guns in school. So if you give them to 8th graders and 6th graders and 4th graders, let them defend themselves.
Well,
Can I
and-
read something real quick?
Yeah,
You guys,
but-
I'd say they should be
It's-
trained on what to do if they find one.
Yeah.
They should be trained in gun safety.
but
And
it's
Could teachers that are military or veterans be able to carry a gun? I definitely think they should. But everyone says, oh, no, we can't let them do. If people are skilled in how to defend themselves and their teacher wants to, not being encouraged to, I was very much against when a former president offered to pay people $500 to carry a firearm in schools. I was completely against that because people shouldn't be incentivized to do it. They should do it because they want to and they know the responsibility of having a firearm. And if they do, they should be allowed to so they can defend. I'd much rather if a shooter's coming into a school that my son's in and they're going to that classroom, I don't want teachers saying, please don't do it. I'd rather have the teacher ready to defend my kid. That's just my
Okay, can I read something real quick? Just some
Please.
factual stuff we
Yep.
talked about. This is assault weapons. This is the discovery of the ban of assault weapons in 1994 and expired in 2004.
Mhm.
In this earlier period, mass shooting deaths were steadily rising. Indeed, high-profile mass shootings involved assault rifles, such as the killing of 5 children in Stockton, California, and in 1993, a San Francisco office attack that left 8 victims dead, provided the impetus behind the push for prohibition of some types of gun. The 94 to 2004 ban. In the years after the assault weapon ban went into effect, the number of deaths from mass shootings fell, and the increase in the annual number of incidents slowed down, even including 1999's Columbine massacre, the deadliest mass shooting during the period. From that 10-year period, saw lower average annual rates of both mass shootings and deaths resulting from such incidents before the ban's inception. In 2014, the data shows on an almost immediate and steep rise in mass shootings in the years after the assault weapon ban expired in 2004.
Of course,
So,
I would.
yes,
You could also
there's-
make the
there's your
argument
roadblock.
that
Yes,
is
it's an
tracks
actual
the social
hardcore, actual.
problems that we're having.
What's
Yeah,
that?
in other words, the anxiety and stuff.
But you know what? Is it causal or is it just a coincidence? That's another question, right? I mean, association does not prove anything. You know, to me, association doesn't prove anything. You know, you have to, speaking as a scientist, you have to actually prove something, you know? And it's an
10-year run,
interesting
it's-
statistic.
that's
It's a
tough.
fairly good example, but what I'm getting at is I think what they've also proved is that social media has been harming our kids.
True.
And if you look at the rate of, again, depression and anxiety, for what I understand, it's over 50% for some young kids, especially girls. They are apparently even worse, but they're not the shooters, are they?
I think we need to do another show on social media.
Yeah.
I don't think we've done it with the new format. And I think that would be good because
Yeah. What about the
I don't agree with
suicides?
banning
What about the
social media.
suicides caused of social media? You know?
I don't think banning of social media. I think that parents should oversee the social media.
Right.
And that if a
all I'm
parent
saying
doesn't
about
oversee
guns.
the social media, then they don't authorize the account. It's really that
So it's
simple.
basically what we're talking about. Everybody has to become a better parent. Maybe that's what we're talking about.
There you go.
Everybody has to
They
become a
don't
better
come with instruction manuals. I kind of wish they did.
You got to figure it
there's
out.
Instruction manuals, and if you don't read it, you can't. You can't.
If you don't know that you don't have one, maybe you shouldn't have a child in the first place.
Yeah.
But as somebody
You
who
need
came
a
from the
license for all
one
sorts of
parent,
things, but not to have
one
a kid,
parent
right?
earning
Yeah.
Yeah, I
from
got it.
one parent in a job, you know, it kind of leaves somebody else to actually raise the kids as opposed to kind of faking it, you know, by
Hey,
both of you.
Steve,
having-
you're not wrong. That is a factor. There's all sorts of factors. The fact that kids don't have free time anymore like we used to have. Everything is controlled. And then, again, all of their interactions are through social media, which is horrible.
I
All right.
can't let them out the street
Well-
to go play because I can get arrested for not paying attention to my kid. Where back
Oh,
in
that's
the day,
bullshit.
kids can run around on the street all day.
Well, let me
Now-
give you some.
And yes, you're right. Sometimes it's race baiting because yes, the white parents don't get arrested, the black parents get arrested for leaving their kids out in the cul-de-sac, and that's a shame. But
Jesus.
no one should be arrested for letting their kid be in the cul-de-sac because they're not out there, and it does happen. So everyone's keeping their kids inside. That's what's happening.
I don't know about everyone.
It's
Well,
gotten pretty bad these days. Yeah, we were free range kids when we were young, and it helped us develop social skills and everything else.
We
Larry,
want to hear
you-
it.
Yeah.
You want to hear an interesting
Develop
statistic?
social skills, Bob.
You guys
What's
want to
that?
hear an interesting
Some of us
statistic?
develop the social skills, Bob.
You want to hear an interesting statistic?
Well,
Sure.
yeah,
If you-
I
if you
only
ba-
heard
if
about
you
the
base
social
it-
skills,
I
Larry. I
think
didn't
someone
hear that.
based. I think someone
Okay,
brought up
no
some
problem.
race. If you're basing on a race thing, since 1982 to June 2024, all the mass shootings has been 81 white people, 26 black, 12 Latinos, 18 Asians, and 5 other, and 13 unknown.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
got
that
you.
doesn't work out well on a percentage basis.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
you
but
know, you're
I'm just saying
making
off the bat.
science out of something that I don't think has an
Yeah, he
association.
just brought that up, but we're just telling him about the
Well,
the
race was not brought up
disparity.
about the mass shootings. It was brought up about parents being arrested for letting
Oh,
their
okay. I
kids
think
be
you said something about
outside,
race.
not monitored.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then there's 13, so that's the statistics. If you're gonna bring, I thought you just bring something about race. I said, how did they get in
But
here?
Don, if that was that scientific, on a percentage basis, that would disadvantage the minorities. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure you've got a good argument about.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, I just picked that up when he said. I just did the statistics. I just put that up. So I thought he had said something about
Joe Boy. So Tiberius, I mean, he gets this picture. What grade is he? 8th grade or 7th grade?
He's
Did
in
they
eighth
come to
grade
you and
now.
say, hey, he
It
did
happened
this?
when? How
Did they
old
sit
was
down and ask him, hey, do you have bad thoughts about people? Did they ask any questions like that at school?
It was in 5th grade, and a kid in the school had been picking on him incessantly. And so instead of dealing with the kid that was picking on him, they said, well, we can't prove it. And so we can only go about what we can prove, and that Tiberius did this. And the kid was very smart. He would hit Tiberius, and then when Tiberius hit back, he would get in trouble. The kid was very good at never getting caught, but Tiberius, who wasn't good at being wrong or being bad, he would always get caught if he did anything. And so it's like, I says, Tiberius, you just can't react. And he says, that's not the answer. And I said, then talk to the teacher. And then, of course, she's the tattletale. So there is no easy answer for that. And the kid was incessant. And it took about 2 years. And finally, the Tiberius did turn it around. And it took some unique handling to fix it around. And I won't explain what he did on the air, but he did come up with a solution that did work.
Well, great for Tiberius. Way to fix the problem. Now, real quick, I had an older daughter in 8th grade. She was bullied on social media. We told the vice principal. They called in the 2 boys. Boom, suspended 3 days, just like that.
Good.
It was done.
Good.
So, I mean, you're in a Christian school. He's in a private Christian school.
He is at a
Tiberius?
private school.
I can't believe that they wouldn't talk to him and say, hey, by the way, we have complaints about you, and tell your parents we have complaints about you. If you have any such behavior, why don't you stop it, please? Why wasn't that done?
Again, it was about proof. They were
You can
never
control-
able to prove
No.
the other
For
side.
the private schools and
Of course you can't prove
public
it.
schools. The public
Yeah.
schools are the ones, the target schools, because the private schools are very rarely targeted with that's almost impossible, the private schools.
And what do you do when
You
the
love his
parents,
school.
what do you do when the parent or parents are in prison? Because I've seen that as well.
I
Oh,
had-
yeah, you're gonna call in your parents. Oh, well, they're in prison anyway. My dad's in prison, and all that. So
yeah, I had them
Yes, the
both.
grandmother,
Private school
uncle-
and private school and public
Yeah,
school
then
is totally
the
different.
guardian's responsible.
Yeah, but public
Right.
schools
The
and private
guardian's
schools is
responsible.
totally
What's the
different,
point?
you know?
Yeah, but that may be, hey, Steve, that may be part of the gang shootings going on. But as far as mass school shootings, it just seems to be kids that are
It's in the
totally
public.
been bullied. They're totally out of it, and they see this. It's horrible.
Because when you're,
And you're
Except it hasn't come out, Bob. We
What's
don't
that?
know what the motive was for this kid. Nothing's come out
no, I
about
know.
bullying or anything.
I know.
I
right, well,
look
you
at
got,
don't know
Scott-
for this kid, but we know on average this is what has occurred. And most of the time, when you look into the shooter, they're the ones that's being bullied, and they can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, don't get me wrong. Hey, listen to this. 'Cause I have my daughter. My daughter went to private school and public schools. So private schools has a different way of being than the public school. Public schools, there's so many kids and so many situations going on. The teachers are distracted a lot more because they're dealing with not just the kids, they're dealing with so much stuff in the public schools. Private school, you have some kind of control. Most of all your mass shootings are done in the public schools. because the
Mhm.
private schools are locked down. You can watch your kids better, like what Tiberius
And they
said.
probably know their kid. They know their
All their
kids better.
kids and everything else.
Yeah.
You know, my daughter went to part
That's
Maitland
not
for like
true
8
either.
years there, so I know. And then she went to the public schools, and it's totally different.
I tell you what, so my daughter was in middle school, and if I had to give her a lunch, the whole front part of the school is fenced off. There's an office window, and you say, I'm here for Leah Johnson. I'm here to give her lunch. Okay, thank you, Mr. Johnson. Wait here. Or we'll take it to her. We're not allowed on campus.
Right.
So that wasn't for school shootings. That was for parental
Right.
kidnapping,
Right.
divorce cases, that
Wow.
type of stuff.
So
So
every school's different. I'll say I'm very happy with Tiberius' school. He has a good school he goes to, and they cater to some of the needs that he has because he has great math skills and this, that, and the other. And they're very good school for a lot of reasons. They have police at the school, armed police, and every kid, they open the door for the kid at the car, and they're greeted by name by the teachers every morning.
That's the private
Every kid
schools.
is known. They take the time to know every kid, and there's over 400 kids in that school.
But
It is a
next
great
year,
opportunity.
what are you going to do, Joe Boy?
It's a
Because
very tough one. It looks like I am 4 houses away from the school I want him to go to, a charter school. I'm 4 houses away from that. So he may either be going to a school that has a very bad rating, or we may have to try to do a special variance with a voucher to get him to a school that will accommodate some of the stuff he needs. And he wants to get a variance for finance so he can study finance and maybe get to a good school that way.
cool.
well, good luck.
All right, guys. Well, let's go and wrap this up. Ted, you came in mad, right? Because we had a discussion about this. We were going to do AI earlier, and we said, let's do school shootings. Ted, you performed very well. I appreciate all your comments. Larry, Jeff. I know
stand
Jeff
tall.
was ready for AI, and then we switched it on him. But that's what this show's all about. If there's a subject going on, I really thought we got a little further along than most do in this. Because we didn't
Elizabeth,
fixate on any one thing. Thank you all for a good discussion on Third Side Convo wrap up.
Elizabeth just
We-
popped
okay.
on.
Good job, guys. Excellent.
Good job.
Bye, guys.
Elizabeth just popped on. Can you?